this week's drive, we hitch a 700 horsepower ride, slide with the champion, reach the end of the Dakar, and ride with Rossi. All this and more in this week's Drive. Italy's most powerful businessman, Fiat President Gianni Agnelli, died recently, aged 81. Thousands of people filed past his coffin at Fiat's Lingotto factory to pay their respects. His death came as members of the Agnelli clan met to discuss the worst crisis in their century-old stewardship of Fiat, whose cars were a symbol of Italy's post-war industrial miracle. But recently, Fiat's car sales have tumbled. Fiat shares, which slumped to 20-year lows in December, were up about 5% on the announcement of Agnelli's death. Last year, rumours of his death pushed up the share price on expectations that, without him, Fiat would sell its loss-making car unit to General Motors. Agnelli was present at the celebration of Ferrari's 50 years in motorsport 2 years ago. Fiat has interests in most aspects of manufacturing and owns Lancia, Maserati, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo. His influence extended to the corridors of power in Rome, and in 1991 he was made a life senator for his role in developing Italy's economy, Europe's fourth largest, and acting as an anchor in times of political turbulence. Despite its troubles, the Fiat Group still accounts for nearly 5% of Italy's entire economy. Agnelli, whose grandfather founded the company in 1899, became Fiat managing director in 1963 and chairman in 1966, a post he filled for 30 years. But the nostalgia was mixed with questions about how long Fiat's ailing operations would survive without Agnelli. His younger brother Umberto, who is set to take over, stood next to Agnelli's grandson John Elkann, who's tipped to be Fiat's long-term hope. The Renault Formula One team launched its 2003 car in Lucerne, Switzerland. Jarno Trulli and Fernando Alonso, the team's two drivers, unveiled the new car, codenamed R23, in front of Patrick Faure, Flavio Briatore and the senior management of the team's partners. The R23 is the team's second car since it brought Benetton to make an attempt on the championship it dominated for much of the 1990s as the engine supplier to Williams and Benetton.
The driver lineup for the new season, Jarno Trulli and Fernando Alonso.
Renault want to cement their position as leading challenger to Ferrari, Williams and McLaren after finishing fourth in the championship last year. Jarno Trulli talked about his hopes for the new car.
We've released the new car early in November. So we've been testing quite a lot, and there is quite a lot of difference inside the bodywork, and the engine has been changed. We got the new gearbox, so many things have been going on, and all these things make me feel very confident for this season.
Jenson Button scored most of Renault's 23 points last year, but lost his place to Fernando Alonso, promoted from test driver. The Spaniard was asked if it was better racing for a larger, wealthier outfit.
Yeah, a lot of advantage. This team is quite different compared to the team that I drove in 2001, Minardi. It's a big difference. You need time to know the people, to know the engineers, the car, and the season 2002 was really good for me to be completely ready and to be 100% for this coming season.
A lot will be riding on Alonso, Trulli and the new car as the team aims to improve on Renault's 2002 fourth place. Within days, they were testing at Paul Ricard in southern France. The team have brought forward by a year their ambitions for the World Championship. Renault Sport chairman Patrick Faure has committed the team to battling for the title by next season. Last year, he said it will be 2005 at the earliest. Days after revealing this year's car, the drivers put in several test sessions in front of over 600 invited guests and journalists before still more development work behind closed doors. To accommodate France's strict anti-tobacco regulations, the cars ran with different logos on the track. Patrick Faure said it was always difficult to fix objectives. You have to be realistic and not too ambitious. The team is still not in a position to fight Ferrari and Williams, but want to be one of the top two teams. He said he'd been assured it's a great car to drive and he thinks it's going to be a great season.
Well, clearly the objective is to keep on going forward and advancing. We need to do better than the first year. The first year we finished fourth with 23 points. This year we have to confirm this fourth place, and we have to reach podiums. At least 4 or 5 would be, I think, a good number for the second year of Renault. And then in 2004, 2005, we have to be there to fight for the championship.
Well, this is obviously my second season with this team, so I feel very confident. I feel like home with them. I know the car, I know the engineer, the way they work, so obviously I feel 100% inside the team. And I really think that at the first race, since the first race, I will probably start to deliver some good results.
Technical director Mike Gascoigne said this car was the first real Renault. The team joined Ferrari and Toyota as the only Formula One manufacturers to build the entire car. Most other teams fabricate their own cars, but buy in engines. Racing driver Fernando Alonso is a special talent who has what it takes to win races, according to his team boss, Flavio Briatore. But the Spaniard, still just 21, kept his feet on the ground.
We are quite confident. The team is doing very well. We did a very good winter test, and we'll see in Australia. But I hope to score my first points in my career in Formula One this year, and working hard to have the best results.
Alonso was the team's test driver last year after a promising debut season with Minardi, making a big impression despite failing to score any points. French support for the team is extensive. Even the Air Force are behind them, it seems. Jaguar bucked the trend with a low-key internet launch of their new car, deciding the expense of a conventional launch would be inappropriate after making more than 70 people redundant. Sir Jackie Stewart is a director of Jaguar Racing and a 3-times world champion.
Jaguar are going to be competitive. It may not be in this first year of 2003, for example, that we're going to look at. It could be 2004 or even 2005.
This year's model is more conventional and less adventurous than the 2002 car, which saw embarrassing mistakes in design which needed a mid-season makeover.
It's going to be a very tough year for us, but I'm very confident we can go forward from what happened last year. The tyre war is going to be very interesting as well, so hopefully we can have a good year.
Australian Mark Webber is in his second year in Formula One, having made a dream debut with Minardi, scoring 2 points in his very first race at home in Australia. Ford-owned Jaguar rank amongst Formula One's also-rans, finishing a disappointing 7th last season. They've yet to come close to winning a race since taking over from Stewart at the end of 1999. The team got lucky with Eddie Irvine's 4th place in Australia in the opening round of 2002 after half the field crashed out. He finished just ahead of Webber's Minardi.
What Jaguar Racing are trying to do is get the finest form of engineers, whether it be electronics, whether it be aerodynamics, whether it be alternative materials, or whether it be basic engineering.
The R4 also has a redesigned 90-degree Cosworth engine with a lower centre of gravity, which is the highest revving they've ever built. Every previous V10 Cosworth has had a 72-degree V-angle. While the aerodynamic design of the car is quite conservative, the brand new engine represents more of a shift away from the conventional. Cosworth believe it's the first of a new family of engines, fundamentally different. Jaguar says Formula One is above all an engineering exercise, so the focus for the team this year is success built on solid engineering.
Well, it's a dream come true to be in Formula One for me, and we're going to have a difficult season. I think there's a lot of work to be done in here, and it's always difficult when you are a newcomer as well, so I have a lot to learn, but it should be quite interesting, and I'm looking forward.
The team isn't raising expectations too high, just saying it hopes to finish in the top half of this year's Formula One grid. Retired double Formula One champion Mika Häkkinen finished 29th in the Arctic Lapland Rally held in his native Finland at the end of January. The rally, held on the Arctic Circle around the town of Rovaniemi, consisted of 15 special stages covering a distance of over 250 kilometres in the frozen conditions. Häkkinen, who finally confirmed his retirement from Formula One last year after taking a year off, was watched by his wife Erja and their young son Hugo. Although Mika has lived in Finland for most of his life, racing in icy and snowy conditions was bound to be a new experience for him. The narrow studded tyres provide maximum grip, even on snow-covered icy surfaces. Mika faced a role reversal situation on stage 9 when a puncture meant that a fast tyre change was necessary. Although he was used to pulling into the pits for a change of rubber, this was his first experience of changing a tyre during a rally special stage. Mika and co-driver Arto lost over 4 minutes as a result of the puncture, and without this they would surely have finished higher up in the final results. As Mika and Arto changed the tyre, Mika's mother Ayla, father Harry and wife Erja looked on. Mika increased his speed on the second day and admitted that doing so brought extra excitement to his first rally experience. Two other famous Formula One Finns were in the rally. Keke Rosberg will no doubt be on the receiving end of countless jibes from Mika and JJ Leto. The final classification saw Mika in 29th place and 12th in his class. JJ was 16th overall, but former world champion Keke finished down in 45th place.
I found it was extremely difficult. It was really difficult to do this rally. We didn't have too many stages yesterday, but today we had like something like 180 kilometers, and it was very demanding. Not so much physically, but psychologically. You know, you had to listen to navigators from morning to evening. It tells you about the type of corner where you're heading to, and the speeds are very high. So very demanding indeed. But I fully enjoyed about that. It was great fun.
Among the difficulties Mika had to cope with was the difference in driving style required from a Formula One car to the front-engined Mitsubishi Lancer.
There is obviously quite a big differences, and the horsepower, braking, acceleration, the Formula One is much quicker. And what makes it difficult also is Formula One is only two-wheel drive, and the rally car is four-wheel drive. So your driving technique has to be completely different.
Häkkinen is not planning to come out of retirement to drive in rallies on a regular basis, but he said he would like to take up the challenge in Finland again in the future.
My target is to come here again. You know, it just depends. I would like to continue with Mitsubishi, and you know, we just have to talk about it and found the agreement together, which is right. But what I have realized, to come here with the right team, with the right people, the professional people, it's great fun, and the enjoyment is much higher. If you would come here with the amateur team, you know, it would be difficult. So I had a great support from Mitsubishi.
Häkkinen, Formula One world champion with McLaren in 1998 and 99, drove his Mitsubishi Lancer to finish over 20 minutes behind the winner, Janne Tuohino, in a Ford Focus. But the famous Finn was given a champagne shower as if he had won, getting both sticky and wet in the sub-zero temperatures. Japan's Hiroshi Masuoka claimed his second Dakar Rally title in succession after safely completing the 17th and final stage. The 42-year-old Mitsubishi driver finished the time section of the 56-kilometre stage round Sharm el-Sheikh more than 8 minutes behind stage winner Ari Vatanen. But Masuoka comfortably topped the overall standings, 1 hour and 52 minutes ahead of Jean-Pierre Fontenay of France. Stefan Peterhansel, who led for most of the race until the 16th stage when he had a radiator leak and then hit a rock, was third. Veteran Ari Vatanen, former World Rally champion and previous Dakar winner, claimed another stage win for Nissan. Mitsubishi driver Jean-Pierre Fontenay finished 27th on the stage, but second overall. Carlos Souza came home fourth overall behind Peterhansel to complete a Mitsubishi sweep of the results. South African Geniel de Villiers' Nissan broke a camshaft after 18 kilometres. It kept going, but Geniel couldn't stop, so co-driver Pascal Maimon leapt out at the checkpoint and had to run to catch up. A local biker got Pascal back on board and the crew finished 56th, but claimed 5th place overall. Mitsubishi developed the new Pajero Evo just to win the Dakar, and the team succeeded admirably. Richard Saint won the motorcycle section of the rally for the third time, adding to his victories of 1999 and 2000. Cyril Dupre was fourth on the final stage and second overall, just 7 minutes behind the winner. Winner for the last 2 years, Fabrizio Mioni, ended over half an hour further back in third. Per Gunnar Lundmark of Sweden won the final stage and was 6th overall. Saint led home a string of KTM riders as the Austrian bikes completely dominated the field. He claimed 5 stage wins and was never lower than 11th on the 8,500 kilometre marathon. Vladimir Tagwin came third on the last stage to win the truck section. A total of 8 competitors lined up at the start of the 4th round of the 2003 Indoor Trials Series. Spain's Adam Raga demonstrated awesome bike control to clean this obstacle round in front of a crowd of over 5,000 who were delighted with his skill. Albert Kabastani was the 4th rider to pass to the final, but problems with his bike affected his confidence and his performance was not up to his usual standards. Mark Frieser got up this obstacle, the waterfall, with 0 penalties. Englishman Graham Jarvis got through this heart-stopping obstacle, but was knocked out after the first round. Despite this clean section, Takahisa Fujinami also didn't progress to the final 4 in round 2. Raga, Lampkin and Frieser finished round 2 drawn on 5 penalties after the 6 observed sections, and the 2 places in the double-lane final were decided in a tie-break section. Top spot finally came down to a head-to-head between Gas rider Raga and championship leader Lampkin. In what turned out to be a hard-fought final, it was Lampkin who had to settle for second best. The British Montesa rider fell in the last jump and injured his shoulder, seconds away from winning. However, with this second place in Marseille, Lampkin maintains his leadership in the standings, now only 1 point ahead of Adam Raga. Yamaha's MotoGP riders have begun their 2003 campaign with their first test of the year. The team travelled to Jerez in southern Spain for some much-needed practice. The Japanese factory entourage had rounded off 2002 with a shakedown test at the same track, but intense rain had hindered their progress. So this time it was a case of picking up where they left off, with Carlos Checa and Alex Barros riding fuel-injected versions of the M1. Checa explained what they were hoping to achieve in Jerez.
We will compare with the new things arrive, basically some modifications in the chassis and engine. And after that, if the modifications they did are good and are in the way we expect, just to fix the problems we had last year, we will proceed with the new things and just try to set up and get used.
MotoGP rookie Marco Melandri continued with his learning program aboard the powerful 4-stroke after stepping up from the 250cc World Championship, where he became the class's youngest world champion. Olivier Jacques and Shinya Nakano also took to the track and were greeted by heavy black clouds, although the rain held off. Melandri is keen to get in as much track time on his new machine as possible.
I have to ride my bike. For me, it's enough to ride to have more feeling. I have still to try some different position on my bike because I still have not find really good position for me. But I'm really happy about my Yamaha, and I have to make many kilometers as I can because when the track will be good, I can go fast, I think.
The session saw a minor crash for Nakano at lunchtime and strong winds in the afternoon. Meanwhile, many of the other MotoGP riders were at the Sepang circuit testing in the Malaysian humidity. The three Italian powerhouses of MotoGP, world champion Valentino Rossi and Max Biaggi of Honda, and Ducati's Loris Capirossi, were pitted together for the first time in 2003. Even though they were not competing head-to-head, there was a tense atmosphere in the pits, with every rider keen to show that they have what it takes to begin the new season competitively. Loris Capirossi has joined the brand new Ducati team. The Italian factory has swept all before it in the World Superbike Series, but will now concentrate on the new four-stroke MotoGP class. Capirossi's teammate is Australian Troy Bayliss, former Superbike world champion with Ducati. He's had more track time with the new MotoGP bike, but is more used to the heavier, slower twin-cylinder Ducatis. Overshadowing the three Italians, however, was Japan's Daijiro Kato, the fastest rider out on the track during the session. Spaniard Sete Gibernau has moved from the underperforming Suzuki team and will be on one of the new five-cylinder Hondas this year. The first person he'll have to beat is his teammate Kato, who's one of the fastest riders in the class. Toru Okawa was Rossi's teammate last year and showed flashes of brilliance, but was overshadowed by his teammate and by other riders when they got their new bikes later in the year. American Superbike champion Nicky Hayden has joined the Works team, giving the factory a rider from each major market: Japan, the US and Europe. Japanese rider Makoto Tamada has a Pramac Harris Honda. Max Biaggi has returned to Honda after 2 fruitless years with Yamaha.
Yeah, the feeling I have is good, you know. I feel okay with this bike. I want to discover more, but I need to ride the bike to see the strong point of this bike. But at the moment, I think it's quite good.
We have always the same problem. We don't have enough traction, but HRC work very hard for fix this problem. Now we try new part, and I hope for April is fixed. And because we need to go a little bit faster.
Last year, 4 times world champion Rossi had the advantage of the latest machinery from Honda and won the championship at a gallop. The bike won 14 of 16 rounds last year in the hands of Rossi, Okawa and Alex Barros. But with a host of top-flight riders on the same machinery this year, we can expect a much closer fight. The season kicks off in April with the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. No doubt Rossi will be in the thick of the battle. So, whether you're hopping up a waterfall, racing a big cat, or kicking up a dust storm, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.